On December 19th, 1989, the Browns were playing another terrible game as they were a new expansion franchise when something absolutely unbelievable happens. One of those wrong places, wrong time. When a false start occurs, the referee throws the flag. Unbeknownst to Orlando Brown, the right tackle for the Cleveland Browns, that flag is coming right for him. Hits him in the eye. And Orlando goes and knocks down the official, gets ejected from the game, gets suspended by the league, and later we find out, because of this flag in this instant, he was blind, losing millions of dollars, essentially derailing his promising career. Join us today as we go back and see this insane accident that shows that sometimes fate is cruel. Today on Daily Sports History. Welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, and in poor taste this week, I listened to I Go Blind a lot by Hootie and the Blow. I'm sorry, Orlando. So, who was Orlando Brown? You may have heard this name. His son is actually playing in the league, but he was playing before his son. See, he grew up in the DC area. He grew up is understated. He grew to be 6 feet 7 inches and over 350 pounds. He got so big that he got the nickname Zeus. He was just a massive person. And he got lucky enough to get a scholarship to South Carolina. Even though he had a pretty good career there, he went undrafted, but because of his size, he would get signed by the Cleveland Browns in 1993. Played 3 seasons there until he moved with the team to Baltimore until 1998. And then, amazingly, the Browns came back. So the Browns came back as an expansion team in 1999, and they signed Orlando Brown as a free agent, giving him a $27 million contract over 5 years. That's a lot of money, especially back in 1999. But as with most expansion franchises, it was tough. He went from a struggling team with the first Browns to a struggling new team with the Ravens to another struggling team. He was a decent player. He started over 100 games in his career, but he also was part of a lot of bad teams. And unfortunately, towards the end of the season in 1989, in Week 14, the Cleveland Browns were hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, who at the time were very good. They were 12-1 at the time, and the Browns were 2-12. Basically, two opposites of the spectrum. But this game is not remembered for the game. But remember for one moment that still seems crazy that it happened. So, in the middle of this game, the official Jeff Triplett, who had been an official in the NFL since 1996, and he's moved up in the ranks. And honestly, he was just everyday ref who makes mistakes. And refs throwing flags wasn't always a thing. It actually started back at Youngstown State, where they were playing Oklahoma City University in 1941, where they used to use horns and whistles as the main signal for an infraction. But this actually helped fans and coaches see that there was an actual infraction and would come back to it if there was. So it would get broader use in 1948 when it would get used in an actual NFL game. Now, at first, they were actually red and white flags, and then a yellow flag as it was more visible. Now they're actually made of a synthetic fabric that's very durable and can withstand the weather and constant use. It has a small pouch at the end that's weighted with metal pellets or lead shot. That used to be weighted with metal pellets, but they changed after an incident and used safer alternatives to keep people involved in the game safer. It's usually and they just pull it out and throw it. That's what they used to do, because you just take it, throw it, and you watch what else is going on. Now they're more taught to just drop it or have it near where they are and not actually throw it because of an event that happened in 1999. We go back to this game. The Browns are on offense, and there's a false start. It's not Orlando Brown, but he starts to move as if the play is still going because he's in that mode, and his defensive end is also still running. So he's still protecting his quarterback, not giving a free shot. You don't know what the flag is. The whistle is being blown, but it takes a while for guys to slow down. So as he turns, following his defender, you see a flag fly and disappear right into his helmet and hits him in the right eye. Now at this time, it was the metal pellets in the flag, which traveling through the air, and if they hit you in the right spot, it can hurt. And Orlando Brown was visibly hurt. He rips off his helmet. He's stumbling around. He's yelling at Jeff Triplett, who threw the flag, as he's visibly upset, which would be a scary moment. Imagine this massive 6'7", 350-pound man coming at you. Even though you're a ref, it would take a lot of people to stop him, and it did take a lot of people to stop him. The sidelines asked him to settle down, slow down, because honestly, most people did not know what happened. They just see him mad at the ref, going at the ref, pushing him down, and of course, he was ejected, and the league immediately suspended him, fined him everything, and then later, the NFL finds out, with all of us, that Brown's actually having to go to the hospital and being treated for a right eye condition. But even though this happened, the NFL still suspended him. That same day, though, that they suspended him indefinitely, they learned that he was also in the hospital as there was new bleeding in his eye. And officially, Orlando Brown went blind. So the NFL took back its suspension and fine because it was a crazy incident. It wasn't that he had an outburst for no reason. He went blind because of this. And he would miss the following 3 seasons and be cut by the team because of this instance, because he was blind and could not compete. And so because of this, well, a couple years later, Brown had to sue the NFL for $200 million, saying the officials were negligent in how they threw the flag, cutting short his career. Now, this would actually be settled outside of court because he also missed out $1 million and got a $25 million settlement. Not $200 million, but at least it made up for most of the contract that he missed out on because his contract with the Browns was void. So all that money he signed for, he only got a little bit of it because he only played 1 season. So they did make him whole money-wise, but it was not the end for him. In 2003, he was able to work with rehab and get his sight back enough to join the Baltimore Ravens, making a comeback. And crazily enough, he was so good at the time, and they were so desperate, he actually started a game against the Oakland Raiders on both offense and defensive line in one game, which is crazy, but shows you just being a massive person can get you pretty good. He officially did retire. So it gave him a 10-year career, which is very good, but he also missed out on 3 seasons that he could have been making even more money, contributing, and maybe been a part of a team that could have won a championship, which he unfortunately did not get. And after he was done, he was actually trying to become a businessman. Use that money he got from his great size and his great abilities to start a fat burger franchise in Maryland. Though it did not go very well, and in 2009, he actually got arrested and charged with 3rd-degree burglary and destruction of property. Now, this was a domestic dispute between him and his ex-wife, and the charges were later dropped. And he did end up having 5 kids, 2 daughters and 3 sons. One of them is Orlando Brown Jr., who currently is a tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, who, just like his dad, is a massive person, 6'8", 350 pounds. Whew, it just amazes me people can be like that. But unfortunately for Orlando Brown Sr., he was found dead in his Baltimore townhouse on September 23rd, 2011, due to complications with diabetes. And so sadly, he died at the age of 40. Missing out on lots of things with his families and his future and seeing his son make it to the NFL. And Jeff Triplett, well, what happened to him? He continued to be a ref till 2017. And he continued to make other mistakes, but he did change how they make the flags because they made them with softer material. And they also instructed and taught refs now to not throw the flag, but instead just kind of toss it down to the ground near their feet. Because we don't need to see the flag flying. We just need to see that there's a flag on the field. And that change really is because of Jeff Triplett. But this one moment changed his life, made his life in the headlines along with Orlando Brown, and changed the game. A small change, but one that if you watch today, you'll notice no flags actually go flying. Flags aren't thrown. Like commentators always say that they threw the flag. No, they gently tossed it to the ground. And it's always moments like this, small changes, that give us the sports that we love today. I want to thank you for listening to today's Daily Sports History. If you like this, please make sure you follow and subscribe wherever you're listening. That way you do not miss an episode, and come back. That way you don't miss an episode and continue to learn about sports history. And we'll see you on the next one.